Hey everyone, welcome back to Rewilding the Future. Today, we're embarking on an epic journey into the world of capybaras, those gentle giant rodents that once roamed North America and could soon reclaim their place in our wetlands. We'll rewind the clock to discover the history of capybaras in North America, how their ancient relatives shaped Pleistocene marshes, and why their descendants vanished. Next, we'll explore why bringing capybaras back matters, how these eco-engineers restore healthy wetlands, boost biodiversity, and reconnect predator-prey networks. Then I'll take you through the top hotspots, from the Everglades to the lower Rio Grande Valley where capybaras could thrive, and what makes each site perfectly suited to support them. We'll dive into the fascinating relationships capybaras form with beavers, otters, birds, wolves, and more, showing how one species can ripple through an entire habitat. Finally, we'll zoom out to the bigger picture of Pleistocene rewilding, imagining a North America where capybaras join mammoths, dire wolves, and giant beavers to recreate ancient ecological dances. By the end, you'll see how rewilding capybaras isn't just a conservation dream. It's a blueprint for restoring balance and wonder to our wetlands. So hit that like button, subscribe for more rewilding adventures, and let's dive in.
Capybara's ancestors first colonized temperate North America roughly 3 million years ago, when the formation of the Isthmus of Panama enabled South American fauna to migrate northward. During the Pliocene and early Pleistocene, capybaras of the genera Neochirus, formerly including Hydrochirus holmesii, Fugatherium, and the living genus Hydrochirus, spread into regions from Mexico to Florida and as far north as South Carolina and California, representing one of only 2 South American caviomorph rodent lineages to take advantage of the land connection. Among these migrants were 2 especially large Pleistocene species. Neochirus pinckneyi, Pinckney's capybara, roamed from Arizona through Florida and the southeast until its extinction about 12,000 years ago. At up to 90 kilograms, it ranked among the largest rodents ever known. Its close relative, Neoquirus aesopi, weighed around 80 kilograms and left fossils in locales such as Florida and South Carolina before disappearing at the end of the last ice age. Evidence shows that capybaras persisted along the Gulf and Atlantic coasts into the Rancolabrian subage of the late Pleistocene. A newly described fossil of Hydrochirus from San Diego County marks the only record of the living genus in North America, highlighting a range that once extended even to coastal California. Although native North American capybaras vanished millennia ago, the species has made a surprising return in recent decades. In Florida, an accidental release of several capybaras from a research facility in the early 1990s led to a breeding population now observed across at least 13 counties. These feral herds thrive in wetlands much like their Pleistocene forebears did. Today's feral capybaras in Florida occupy ecological niches strikingly similar to those vacated by extinct Pleistocene giants. While some conservationists see potential benefits, restoring lost grazing functions, others caution about invasive impacts on native plant communities and the need for monitoring to balance ecological restoration against biodiversity risks. Rewilding capybaras in North America is grounded in the idea of restoring lost ecological functions once performed by Pleistocene relatives, large, semi-aquatic herbivores that shaped wetland and riparian landscapes. Here's why North America could benefit from a carefully managed reintroduction of modern capybaras. Capybaras are ecosystem engineers. By selectively grazing on emergent vegetation, they create grazing lawns, areas of shorter, denser plant growth that boost overall plant diversity and habitat heterogeneity. Recent field studies in neotropical savannas demonstrate that capybara grazing maintains plant species richness and prevents dominance by a few tall grasses. In North America, reintroduced capybaras could similarly curb overgrowth of invasive wetland plants, promote native wetland flora, and enhance habitat for waterfowl, amphibians, and invertebrates. As sizable herbivores, capybaras would provide a new prey base for large native predators. In regions like Florida, they could become prey for American alligators and the Florida panther, helping to sustain predator populations and balance ungulate herbivory. Furthermore, re-establishing this link could reduce mesopredator release, benefiting ground nesting birds and small mammals. Semi-aquatic grazers influence nutrient cycling and water quality. By consuming and trampling vegetation, capybaras can improve water flow in clogged marshes, reduce standing biomass that fuels eutrophication, and facilitate nutrient redistribution between land and water. Although specific North American studies are pending, analogous large herbivores, for example, hippos, giant beavers, are known to modulate aquatic nutrient budgets and sediment dynamics, suggesting capybaras could similarly bolster flood mitigation, water purification, and carbon sequestration in riparian zones. Capybaras disperse seeds via endozoochory and trample incomplete vegetation patches, creating habitat corridors along waterways. These actions can increase landscape permeability for other wetland species under climate-driven rain shifts. By knitting together fragmented riparian habitats, capybaras may help wildlife adapt to changing hydrology and temperature regimes. The charismatic nature of capybaras, social behavior, tolerance of human observers, could spur community engagement, ecotourism, and educational programs centered on wetland conservation. Such flagship species often galvanize public support and funding for broader ecosystem restoration efforts. Capybaras' ecological roles as large, semi-aquatic herbivores suggest they could help restore or enhance wetland ecosystems if introduced responsibly. They may promote biodiversity, improve water quality, and support predator species. The Everglades is an extensive subtropical wetland with abundant freshwater marshes, slow-moving rivers, and dense vegetation, perfect for capybaras, which thrive in warm, wet, grassy habitats. The climate is subtropical with mild winters and wet summers, providing year-round food and water stability. This region supports a rich predator guild, including American alligators and Florida panthers, bears, bobcats, coyotes, providing natural population control for capybaras and helping maintain ecological balance. The Everglades already have a high biodiversity of wetland plants and animals adapted to seasonal flooding, which aligns with capybara grazing habits. Capybaras would help maintain marsh vegetation, creating open grazing lawns that enhance plant diversity and provide habitat for fish, birds, and amphibians. Their grazing reduces dense vegetation, improving water flow and reducing the risk of hypoxic zones. They add to the food web as prey for large predators, boosting the health of top predators like the panther and alligator. Capybaras are charismatic and could raise awareness about wetland conservation, boosting ecotourism. This sprawling network of swamps, bayous, and deltaic wetlands provides slow-moving, nutrient-rich waters with ample floating and emergent vegetation. A natural home for capybaras. The humid subtropical climate is similar to their native South American range, ensuring comfort and survival. The ecosystem has strong predator-prey dynamics, including bobcats, alligators, and various raptors. Human populations are more concentrated in urban areas, but vast protected wetlands offer refuge. Seasonal flooding replenishes nutrients, supporting abundant plant growth. Grazing by capybaras could control invasive plants like hydrilla and water hyacinth, improving habitat quality for native fish and waterfowl. Their foraging promotes heterogeneous plant communities, benefiting other herbivores and invertebrates. Capybaras help cycle nutrients between land and water through their feeding and waste, potentially improving water quality. They add to the cultural identity of the bayous, drawing nature enthusiasts and educational programs focused on wetland restoration. The lower Rio Grande Valley and coastal wetlands have a subtropical to tropical climate, freshwater and brackish marshes, and riparian forests along the river systems, ideal capybara habitat. Mild winters prevent freeze-related mortality. The region harbors native predators like cougars, bears, coyotes, and bobcats that could regulate capybara populations. Protected areas and wildlife refuges in the valley provide secure spaces, and the varied aquatic vegetation ensures stable forage. Capybaras would help restore wetland health by maintaining open channels and controlling overgrown vegetation, which supports endangered species like the ocelot and whooping crane. Their presence could encourage ecotourism in a region rich in birdwatching and wildlife viewing, bringing economic benefits. They act as seed dispersers, aiding in riparian forest regeneration. Rewilding here strengthens North America's subtropical wetland corridors, improving connectivity for multiple species adapting to climate change. These coastal marshes and wet prairies have a humid subtropical climate, extensive freshwater and brackish wetlands, and plenty of aquatic grasses, great for capybaras. Winters are mild, and summers are warm and wet. Though human development exists, many protected marsh reserves provide stable habitats. Natural predators such as alligators, otters, and raccoons create a balanced ecosystem. Seasonal flooding maintains dynamic vegetation communities. Capybaras grazing can prevent overgrowth of invasive reeds and improve water quality by reducing plant biomass that otherwise clogs waterways. Their trampling and movement create microhabitats for amphibians and small fish. By linking with other Gulf Coast wetlands, capybaras can aid in seed dispersal and nutrient cycling on a landscape scale. The species' social and calm nature can foster community interest in local wetland conservation projects. The coastal plains region has a mosaic of tidal marshes, freshwater swamps, and river floodplains with abundant grasses and aquatic plants. The moderate climate with hot summers and mild winters matches capybara preferences. Large protected areas like the Ace Basin and Francis Marion National Forest offer secure habitats with low human disturbance. Native predators like black bears, coyotes, American dingoes, bobcats, alligators, and a few cougars maintain natural population checks. Capybaras would promote plant diversity by grazing dense marsh vegetation and creating open patches. This habitat management can support diverse bird species, including migratory waterfowl and wading birds. They improve wetland resilience to droughts and floods by influencing vegetation structure and water movement. Their presence helps reconnect fragmented wetlands along the Atlantic flyway, assisting migratory species. Though more arid overall, southeastern Arizona's riparian corridors are lush, perennial wetland habitats amid desert landscapes, a rare and valuable niche. These waterways host grasses, sedges, and aquatic plants needed by capybaras. Protected riparian reserves and low human density ensure habitat stability. Predators such as mountain lions and bobcats maintain natural predator-prey dynamics. Water availability is more seasonal, but permanent pools and springs provide refuge. Capybaras can help restore riparian vegetation balance, clearing dense brush that chokes waterways and increasing water flow. Their seed dispersal and trampling create microhabitats beneficial to fish, amphibians, and native plants. By improving riparian health, capybaras indirectly support endangered species like the southwestern willow flycatcher. Their rewilding here would demonstrate ecological restoration potential in semi-arid landscapes. Although cooler and wetter than capybara's native range, the mild winters and abundant freshwater wetlands of the Pacific Northwest lowlands may support capybaras in protected microhabitats near slow rivers and marshes. Climate change is making winters milder, potentially expanding suitable habitat. Protected estuarine and freshwater wetland preserves exist with balanced predator communities, including coyotes, bobcats, and large birds of prey. Human impacts are moderate, with conservation initiatives already underway. Capybaras would contribute to vegetation management in wetlands, helping control reed canary grass and other invasives that dominate native plants. Their grazing and movement enhance habitat heterogeneity, benefiting salmonids and amphibians. Capybaras aid nutrient cycling in estuarine systems, improving ecosystem productivity. Their introduction could spark community involvement in wetland preservation and climate adaptation efforts.
Now let's dive into the ecological interactions of rewilded capybaras with other large herbivores and megafauna in North America, including current native species and future or proposed rewilding/de-extinction species. Capybaras and deer share wetland and riparian habitats, though deer also occupy drier forests and grasslands. Both species are primarily herbivores, but have slightly different feeding strategies. Capybaras favor aquatic grasses and emergent vegetation, while deer browse shrubs and terrestrial plants more. Minimal direct competition due to dietary differences and habitat micro-niche partitioning. They may even benefit each other indirectly. Capybaras grazing opens dense vegetation, making foraging easier for deer. Capybaras can reduce vegetation density along water edges, improving habitat quality and access for deer, especially during dry seasons. Elk frequent riparian meadows, floodplain grasses, and marsh edges, the very zones capybaras use for aquatic grazing. Elk browse woody plants and forbs, while capybaras specialize on emergent sedges and grasses. Elk reduce shrub encroachment, opening sunny glades along waterways. Capybaras then graze the newly lush sedge beds, maintaining low, diverse grass cover that benefits ground-nesting birds and amphibians. When elk retreat to forest margins in summer, capybaras push deeper into marshes. In turn, elk may browse closer to water edges in winter, giving capybaras seasonal relief from herbivory pressure. Their staggered use of the same corridors creates a living mosaic of vegetation heights and species. Moose prefer boreal forests and marshes, feeding on woody browse and aquatic plants, overlapping somewhat with capybaras in riparian zones. Given their size difference, moose much larger, and dietary preferences, woody plants versus grasses, competition is low. Capybaras could help maintain open wet meadows moose utilize for aquatic plants. Moose and capybaras together could maintain a dynamic mosaic of wetland vegetation types, benefiting aquatic insects, fish, and bird species. Pronghorns prefer open, dry grasslands and deserts, while capybaras need wetlands. Limited direct habitat overlap reduces interaction chances. Healthy wetland systems with capybaras nearby can improve landscape-level biodiversity, benefiting pronghorns by maintaining water quality and riparian health near their grazing ranges. Both species use wetlands and feed on a broad plant diet, but wild boars are omnivorous and more destructive, rooting up soil and damaging wetlands. Wild boars could outcompete capybaras for food and degrade habitat quality through overrooting, increasing erosion and invasive plant spread. Controlling wild boar populations would be important to ensure capybara habitat stability. Feral antelope and horses are mostly grazing in drier grasslands and plains. Some overlap may occur near wetlands. Generally, niche partitioning reduces direct competition. Feral donkeys and zebras may use water sources near wetlands, but prefer open grasslands and semi-arid zones. These feral ungulates tend to be more generalist grazers. Capybaras focus on aquatic vegetation. Their presence together could create diverse grazing pressure patterns that maintain varied plant communities. Mixed grazing can reduce dominance of particular grasses or shrubs, improving plant diversity and structure. Feral llamas, often found on high desert ranchlands, also utilize riparian strips. They browse coarse grasses, broadleaf forbs, and low shrubs. Capybaras focus on fine aquatic grasses, so dietary overlap remains low. Llamas' habitual trail making along riverbanks compacts soil and channels water flow, carving shallow runs that capybaras turn into grazing ponds. In dry seasons, capybara wallows along these trails provide vital water holes for llamas and other wildlife. Llamas stand sentinel on higher ground. Their keen eyesight and alarm calls can warn capybara herds of approaching coyotes or bobcats, enhancing overall community vigilance against predators. Bison roamed vast grasslands and riverine floodplains, historically sharing habitats with aquatic environments that capybaras prefer. Capybaras could complement bison by grazing dense wetland vegetation, while bison maintain upland grasslands. Their combined grazing would maintain a heterogeneous mosaic of wetland and prairie habitats, increasing overall biodiversity. Introduced as analogs for extinct North American camels, rewilded camels would occupy adjacent grass and shrub steppes. They can venture into drier fringes of marshes to drink and graze succulent aquatic plants during dry spells. Camels can reach higher shrubs and pull down branches, creating open water access for capybaras and other water dependents. After camels feed, capybaras move in to graze the basal shoots and seeds camels dislodge. Camels' long gut transit moves hardy shrub and grass seeds into wetland pools, where capybaras then trample and plant them in new patches, accelerating riparian forest regeneration in a controlled, patchy pattern. Modern tapirs prefer flooded forests and river margins, closely matching capybara's habitat. As they browse low branches and aquatic forbs, they open up dense stands of cattails and rushes. After tapirs browse, capybaras arrive to crop the tender regrowth at water's edge, maintaining short lawn patches that benefit fish spawning and amphibian calling sites. Tapirs create large wallows and mud pools, which capybaras subdivide into a network of smaller pools with their hooves, great microhabitats for turtles, frogs, and dragonflies. Saiga are steppe dwellers of Eurasia, but future rewilding proposals in North America envision grassland restoration. Minimal direct overlap with capybaras, but both species could be part of a broader megafauna guild restoring ecosystem functions. Capybaras managing wetlands, saigas managing dry grasslands. Their complementary roles could enhance landscape-scale ecological resilience and diversity. As mega-herbivores and ecosystem engineers, elephants shape vegetation structure by knocking down trees and creating waterholes. Elephants can deepen wetlands, benefiting aquatic plants that capybaras feed on. Capybaras benefit from elephant-created habitat modifications. Elephants benefit from capybaras grazing, which maintains open water edges. Elephant presence must be carefully managed to avoid over-disturbance, but their combined role could restore complex wetland ecosystems. Mammoths maintained open park-like tundra and steppe landscapes through browsing and grazing. Though mammoths preferred drier cold steppe, their activities, such as knocking down trees, would have maintained wetland margins and open habitats that support species like capybaras. If mammoths return, their ecosystem engineering could expand and enhance wetland habitats, indirectly benefiting capybaras by maintaining suitable habitat mosaics. Beavers build dams that slow water flow, creating ponds and marshes ideal for aquatic plants. Capybaras thrive on those very emergent grasses and sedges, so beaver ponds supply prime foraging grounds. As capybaras graze and trample shoreline vegetation, they help keep dam spillways clear of overgrowth, reducing beaver-maintained dams' risk of clogging. In turn, beaver-created open water habitats sustain capybara feeding and movement. Beaver ponds buffer droughts and floods. Capybaras help regulate vegetation that might otherwise overtake young floodplains, ensuring dynamic wetland margins. Otters are carnivorous, feeding on fish, crustaceans, amphibians, while capybaras are strict herbivores. They rarely compete directly for food, but both require clean, well-oxygenated water. Capybara foraging reduces plant biomass that, if left unchecked, can rot and lower dissolved oxygen. Cleaner waterways support healthier fish and invertebrate communities for otters. Meanwhile, otter digging and denning can open bank cavities that capybaras sometimes use as refuge from predators. The presence of healthy otter populations signals good water quality, a condition capybaras help maintain. Together, they reinforce one another's habitat needs. Capybara herds crop emergent grasses into short, dense lawns along ponds and marsh edges. These open areas make it easier for ducks to dabble and for rails and bitterns to hunt frogs, insects, and small fish. Shallow footprints and wallows created by capybaras form microhabitats, little mudflats and pools that concentrate aquatic prey, attracting shorebirds and wading species to feed. When capybaras plunge into water to escape threats, they drive small fish and amphibians toward the shallows or banks, an easy meal for herons, egrets, and kingfishers. Ospreys and eagles fish in the same waters capybaras frequent. The calm presence of capybaras signals low human disturbance, making nesting along those banks more attractive. Capybaras attract alligators, bobcats, and large raptors when they're young or sick, forming part of a healthy predator-prey dynamic. Raptors benefit from perched capybara sentinels, animals that often stand watch, alerting all around them to danger. Trampled clearings along water edges by capybaras open up low branches and snags, ideal hunting perches for hawks and owls seeking rodents and frogs stirred up by capybara activity. In pockets of Florida and potentially elsewhere, introduced rhesus macaques live along forested riverbanks. They are omnivorous, eating fruits, seeds, and small animals, but they also forage for aquatic plants and insects near the water's edge. Macaques may raid capybara wallows to snack on freshwater snails or crustaceans stirred up by capybaras grazing. In turn, capybaras grazing exposes shallow mudflats rich in invertebrates, creating new foraging feeding stations for macaques. This cross-taxa facilitation highlights how capybaras can benefit even non-herbivore species. Capybara wallows often erode into shallow depressions. Muskrats and marsh rabbits can repurpose these as refuges or den entrances, saving them energy and expanding their habitat. As capybaras graze, they open up dense mats of grass and sedge, encouraging tender shoot regrowth. Those new shoots and seed heads support field mice, voles, and rabbits, especially in lean seasons. Large capybara groups deter mid-sized predators, for example, raccoons, foxes, through collective vigilance. Small mammals living nearby gain an early warning benefit. When capybaras sound their alarm whistles, mice and rabbits can slip away. Gray wolves are apex predators with strong hunting skills, and capybaras would represent a new medium-sized prey item within their diet in wetland and riparian habitats. Wolves tend to hunt in packs and may target young, sick, or isolated capybaras. The presence of capybaras could increase food availability in wetlands, potentially supporting healthier wolf populations. Wolves help keep capybara populations in check, preventing overgrazing and maintaining wetland vegetation balance. These wolves inhabit southwestern U.S. and northern Mexico, regions with suitable wetland and riparian habitats for capybaras. Mexican gray wolves would similarly prey on capybaras, which could provide an important food source, especially as the wolf populations recover through reintroduction programs. Restoring capybaras supports prey-based diversity, indirectly aiding wolf conservation by diversifying their diet. Red wolves inhabit southeastern U.S. wetlands and forests, overlapping with proposed capybara rewilding zones. Red wolves prey on small to medium mammals. Capybaras would be a new prey source, supplementing their diet alongside raccoons, rabbits, and deer fawns. The presence of capybaras could help sustain red wolves by increasing prey biomass, but wolves' pack size and hunting strategies may differ from gray wolves. Dire wolves, once the dominant large canid predators in North America, are planned for de-extinction. Their reintroduction would add a powerful predator that historically hunted large prey. Dire wolves would likely prey on capybaras, along with larger ungulates, restoring Pleistocene predator-prey dynamics. Their presence would create natural population controls on capybaras, supporting vegetation regeneration and preventing ecosystem degradation. American dingoes are smaller canids adapted to diverse habitats. They could prey on young capybaras or scavenge on carcasses. While not major predators of adult capybaras, American dingoes could influence juvenile survival rates and contribute to natural predation pressure. They add complexity to the predator guild, balancing small to medium prey populations alongside coyotes and foxes. Coyotes are widespread and opportunistic, preying on rodents, rabbits, and occasionally small ungulates. Young or sick capybaras could be vulnerable to coyote predation. Coyotes may scavenge capybara carcasses killed by larger predators, contributing to nutrient cycling. Coyotes coexist with wolves and dingoes but can compete for smaller prey. Coy wolves combine traits of wolves and coyotes and thrive in fragmented landscapes, including urban fringes. Larger than coyotes, they may take on adult capybaras as prey more readily than pure coyotes. They fill an important niche in controlling mesopredator populations and could help maintain healthy capybara numbers. Black bears mainly eat plants, fruits, insects, and occasionally small animals. They rarely prey on large animals like capybaras but may prey on juveniles or scavenge carcasses. Both species share forested wetlands and riparian zones, but black bears' omnivory means they have less direct competition with capybaras. Bears influence capybara behavior by their presence, contributing to a balanced predator landscape. Grizzlies could occasionally prey on capybaras if ranges overlap, especially in northern wetland regions. While not specialized capybara predators, their sheer size and power make them potential predators of any vulnerable individuals. Grizzlies' foraging habits help cycle nutrients, while their presence maintains a top-down control on many herbivore populations. Bobcats frequent riparian edges, swamps, and adjacent forests, the same transition zones capybaras use for feeding and cover. While adult capybaras are usually too large for a bobcat to tackle, kittens, especially under 3 months, are vulnerable. Bobcats may ambush young capybaras at den sites or along vegetated banks. Capybara mothers keep nurseries on small islands or in dense marsh tangles. When bobcats prowl, capybaras use alarm whistles and water dives to flush out predators, benefiting from the rapid escape capybara's semi-aquatic skills provide. Bobcat predation on juveniles helps regulate capybara recruitment rates, preventing localized overpopulation and overgrazing of emergent vegetation. Canadian lynx are primarily boreal forest residents, but follow snowshoe hare populations into mixed wood wetland zones in northern U.S. and Canada. If capybaras expand northward, for example, climate-mediated range shifts, lynx could opportunistically prey on the smallest or sick individuals during the warmer months when wetlands are accessible. Lynx specialize on lagomorphs and small mammals. Competition with capybaras is negligible. Their occasional predation adds another layer of juvenile mortality. By creating and maintaining open grazing lawns, capybaras can increase edge habitat complexity, potentially benefiting snowshoe hares and other small mammals that lynx rely on, indirectly supporting lynx populations. Cougars, ambush predators adept at taking medium to large prey, would be the main natural predator of adult capybaras. In wetland-adjacent forests, cougars can stalk capybaras coming to drink or graze at dawn and dusk. Capybaras' use of water offers partial refuge. They can dive or swim away, but cougars may adapt by hunting along narrower channels where capybaras surface. This predator-prey game sharpens both species' survival skills and maintains healthy capybara herd sizes. Introducing capybaras increases cougar prey diversity in riparian zones, potentially reducing cougar livestock depredation elsewhere and supporting more stable predator populations. Jaguars are naturally recolonizing parts of southern Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. They historically used riparian corridors, prime capybara habitat. Jaguars would target capybaras of all sizes as they routinely hunt caimans and large marsh prey in the neotropics. Jaguars stalk through dense vegetation, then pounce, delivering a killing bite to the skull. Capybara's grouping provides some safety via group vigilance, but lone or edge-foraging individuals remain at risk. Jaguars suppress capybara numbers locally, preventing overbrowsing of aquatic plants and supporting vegetation heterogeneity. In turn, abundant capybaras help sustain jaguar populations as their range expands northward. Although non-native, future rewilding proposals envision cheetahs in open, wet prairie mosaics. Cheetahs could potentially prey on young or weak capybaras but struggle in dense marshes, a niche separation that limits direct competition. Cheetahs favor wide, grassy floodplains adjacent to wetlands. Capybaras grazing lawns along marsh edges may overlap only at drier margins, where cheetahs might take juveniles during dispersal season. Introducing cheetahs would add a visually iconic predator, drawing conservation attention. Their selective predation on capybara juveniles further helps regulate herd recruitment. African lions excel at hunting large ungulates. In a visionary rewilding, lions could occupy grass wetland ecotones, targeting capybaras alongside feral equids or bison. Lion prides coordinate ambushes. Capybara's water dives provide escape routes, but prides may hunt along shorelines. Their presence would enforce strong population control on capybaras, balancing grazing pressure. Lions would restore a Pleistocene-like apex guild, but require extensive, well-protected reserves. Their introduction could catalyze large-scale wetland restoration efforts focused on creating lion-safe zones. Alligators inhabit southern wetlands, prime capybara country. They ambush at water's edge, seizing capybaras that enter too deeply or linger too long. Capybaras detect alligators using keen senses and group vigilance. Herds often avoid deep channels at dawn-dusk when alligator hunting peaks, shifting grazing to safer shallows. Alligator predation controls capybara population densities in core marsh areas, preventing overgrazing and allowing plant communities to recover, a classic top-down effect that maintains marsh structure. Found in South Florida's brackish and coastal wetlands, American crocodiles overlap with southern capybara rewilding zones along mangrove edges and tidal marshes. Less aggressive than alligators, crocodiles still pose a threat to capybaras entering saline-influenced waters. Capybaras avoid high salinity foraging areas, favoring fresher pools. Crocodile presence encourages capybaras to use freshwater corridors, reducing pressure on brackish marsh plants. This zonation promotes diverse wetland vegetation communities. In places like South Florida, where Burmese pythons are established, capybaras would become a new large-bodied prey item. Adult pythons can ambush subadult and small adult capybaras at water's edge. While pythons help curb capybara numbers in invaded areas, unchecked python predation could destabilize newly rewilded populations. Management, such as targeted python removal in core capybara zones, would be critical. Capybaras forced to alter their grazing patterns by python risk may overuse safer, but ecologically sensitive, wetland fringes. Careful monitoring would ensure capybara herds maintain their ecological role without becoming concentrated in suboptimal habitats. Why North America need Pleistocene rewilding? North America needs Pleistocene rewilding because it is one of the continents most deeply affected by the late Quaternary extinction event, which wiped out more than 70% of its large mammals, including elephants, lions, camels, horses, and giant ground sloths, between 10,000 and 15,000 years ago. These animals played crucial ecological roles as grazers, seed dispersers, predators, and ecosystem engineers. Without them, vast ecosystems became imbalanced, forests grew denser, grasslands diminished, nutrient cycling slowed, and predator-prey dynamics collapsed. By rewilding North America with ecological analogs or de-extinct species such as capybaras, elephants, lions, and dire wolves, we begin to restore the ancient biological rhythms that once structured the land. capybaras, the world's largest rodents, can help fill the role of extinct marsh grazers like the giant beaver, and perhaps some of the niche once occupied by ancient Cabaline horses in floodplain systems. Their return enhances wetland biodiversity by trimming emergent plants, creating open water spaces, fertilizing marshes with nutrient-rich droppings, and serving as prey for predators. Rewilded ecosystems benefit from capybaras' interaction with beavers, who reshape waterways, otters, who share fish-rich environments, and birds of prey, who control young rodent populations. These interactions promote a healthier, more dynamic aquatic network. Predators like gray wolves, red wolves, Mexican gray wolves, American dingoes, coyotes, and even the new dire wolves, recently brought back via de-extinction science, are vital for balancing herbivore populations, including capybaras. Large apex carnivores such as cougars, bobcats, and grizzly bears continue this top-down control. As future rewilding introduces jaguars, lions, and cheetahs into secure reserves, they will take over the roles once held by the American lion and other now extinct megafaunal predators. Each predator brings its own strategy: stalking, ambushing, or chasing, and each plays a part in shaping prey behavior and distribution. These predation pressures prevent overgrazing, maintain healthy plant communities, and foster prey alertness, which in turn creates a more stable and resilient ecosystem. Rewilding also requires a diversity of herbivores. Alongside capybaras, species like wild boar, feral horses and donkeys, bison, pronghorn, elk, moose, and deer can restore a layered grazing system. Each species consumes different plants or uses habitats differently. In the future, reintroducing saiga antelope or even mammoths and elephants can complete the ancient grazing mosaic. Mammoths and elephants, as mega herbivores, are powerful agents of ecological change, knocking down trees, creating grasslands, digging for water, and dispersing seeds over long distances. They reopen lost corridors of biodiversity. Incorporating apex aquatic predators such as alligators and American crocodiles, especially in the south, provides vital population control for wetland prey like capybaras. These reptiles maintain ecological balance in water-dominated landscapes. Capybaras learn to coexist through evolved vigilance, ensuring their movements don't degrade aquatic habitats beyond recovery. Meanwhile, their presence boosts food availability for these ancient predators and supports trophic networks that span water and land. The ultimate vision of Pleistocene rewilding is not to recreate the past exactly, but to restore the processes and interactions that made North American ecosystems robust, dynamic, and interconnected. By bringing back keystone species, analogs, and lost interactions, from beavers and wolves to elephants and mammoths, we spark a chain reaction of ecological recovery. Capybaras are one puzzle piece among many, linking wetland systems with savanna grazers, deep forests, and predator guilds. Together, these animals form an ancient song that once guided the rhythm of life across the continent, and could again. And there you have it. The return of capybaras to North America isn't just about one species coming home. It's about rekindling the ancient connections between waters and forests, grazers and predators, small burrowers and mighty megafauna. By bringing capybaras back into our wetlands, alongside beavers, otters, wolves, jaguars, and even future giants like mammoths and elephants, we begin to heal the legacy of Pleistocene extinctions. Imagine marshes alive with grazing lawns, open water channels carved by beavers and elephants alike, songbirds flitting through new glades, and apex predators shaping the land. Picture communities inspired to protect these living landscapes, tourists drawn to witness this grand revival, and scientists learning from the rhythms of a once-lost world. Rewilding capybaras is one step in a much larger journey, a journey toward ecosystems that pulse with balance, resilience, and wonder. So let's roll up our sleeves, support conservation, and champion the comeback of these social water rodents. Together, we can write the next chapter of North America's wild story and make it richer than ever before. Thank you for watching. If you're as excited about rewilding as we are, hit subscribe, share this video, and let us know in the comments, which species do you hope to see rewilded next?